Does that help people online?
I can hear somebody.
If can you hear me, the instructor now?
Yes.
Awesome. We will be in both .loop and command for the purpose of the training. We'll be in both .loop and command. If you have a laptop, iPad, notebook, whatever you want to call it, you do need it out. Everyone, did you get an UpTech Pro password sheet? You got that. You're going to need that to log in, okay? They won't let me show you an example of one anymore. I don't know why. It looks funny to YouTube when we put our video online and it marks it as like some type of spam. I think I'm giving away real email addresses or something like that. When it's a fake one. Brandon's working on that one. But do you know what I mean? Anyone not clear on that UpTech Pro page of passwords? If you joined prior to 2016, you didn't get one of those maybe. I know I had to go back and ask, can y'all just make me one up? Why? Because I'm teaching agents about it and I've never seen it. So that did help. Now say your name is erroneously spelled on your UpTech Pro, your email, you need to change it. Email that UpTech Pro page back, not me, okay? I didn't set it up. I don't know how to fix it or take it down. Anybody going by a surname, a pseudonym, anyone? I go by Bell. My name is La Bellavia. I go by Bell. My name is La Bellavia. So it's very important that I can sign as Bell Lawrence. I can get checks as Bell Lawrence. I DBA, I do business as Bell Lawrence. My Saved by the Bell, all of my things are purchased under my name and filed in every county that I could think of in Texas, okay? Majid, I think you go by 2 names as well. Okay. Yes. I don't know. I would do it as quickly as possible and speak to Trek about it because Mitch would have to know about it. And Trek, I had to file with Trek my nick or shortened name. If you like Mitch, because you can snatch Mitch right out of Mitchell, we didn't have to file anything for, I could take Bell right out of La Bellevue. I didn't have to file anything. I just have to let them know. But if you're going by Susie and your name is Rodrigo, just to give an example, you have to file some documentation. You're not allowed to just switch it that way. I get them in both. My bank account has both. I am fully both people. Yes. And I have Bell spelled 4 different ways. Why? Because people spell it 4 different ways. And it's okay. None of those are right, I'm sure. Just like Keller Williams is Keller Williams Realty Memorial, Keller Williams Houston Memorial, Keller Williams / Houston Memorial. The office has several DBA and nicknames, knowing that you would name them differently and they can cash that check regardless. UpTech Pro is what we're talking about. Everybody got access to that one. Let's log into agent.kw.com. That's your command. Agent.kw.com. There's a couple of ways to get there. I'm going to pick the way that saves my password. So here I've logged in. If you don't have an account to agents only, create one. And as long as it's a kw.com email, they'll fix it. But you can go to command from here. Thank God that worked. Because I do not have my password in my mind saved. You should have seen she was trying to ask me a question. I could not even focus. My brain didn't even hear all of that. But yeah, we will ask the question. We are starting in command, as all things start in command. Everybody got this far? Anybody hasn't? Raise your hand if I need to slow down. I don't think I speak fast, but some people, I've been accused. I'm like, I'm from Texas. This is fast. But I left at 17, so sometimes it comes and goes. What was your question, Natalia? Okay, we'll get to it. Don't you worry. You see this little sign that says Marketplace? I want you to click it and see if yours opens. If you got pop-up blockers off, you're going to have to deal with your pop-up blockers. I'm sorry, I'm not Brandon. I'm not the best at fixing that for you. Everybody this far? Hit my apps. Is Dotloop one of your apps? What about DocuSign? Good. Me neither. I used to use DocuSign in my old brokerage before I got with Keller Williams, and say a client skipped a blank, I could drag that signature and copy it to all kinds of stuff. I could flip the page. I could sign stuff for that. DocuSign's nothing to play with. I hit my apps. Yes. She can do that. Oh, I can't leave. They can't hear you unless you microphone it, so thank you.
And then she sent me the contract, the lease contract
Mhm.
by DocSign, because she said it would be easier so everybody could sign at the same time and you don't have this back and forth.
Mhm.
And I used that, and then I had to put it to my document.
You're the tenant agent, not the listing agent,
Yes,
correct?
I'm the tenant.
As the tenant agent, there's nothing for you to sign. Correct? Other than the agreement between brokers or something like that. Once your client is approved, hear me, tenant agents, your job is done. That lease should go directly to your client. While some of you get in between that is a choice. But once they are approved, you're done. So if they want the tenant to sign through DocuSign, I explained to the tenant that is the system that this listing agent is using. For you to move forward with them, you'd have to submit to their process. And that's the reality going forward. I'm not saying they're not your client anymore. I'm saying you have fulfilled your job. Right? The moment you've earned it, but it's not payable until they actually close on it. Could you be a great resource if she wants you to review it or not? But negotiations between like a buyer and a seller don't work like that between a landlord and a tenant. Right? The tenant's only real option is to not sign.
Because I'm still sending them some documents to Dotloop. And
Like
the
our office
wire-
documents.
the wiring fraud.
Mitch will tell you they needed that prior.
Prior to the contract.
Correct, because what if they had wired funds between that? This is a good reason why I like this particular training, because if you're doing a tenant, you start off with the IABS and the tenant agreement. Once the application is out, that's when I give my client the broker notice and wire fraud. Why? Because I don't want them to start wiring things. If they've already paid all the monies and the fees, while we could still get the wire fraud signed, and hopefully Mitch doesn't hear this and he misses the little date. But he's the one. Mitch will see a little date. That date would be after the fact that the advice was actually useful. Just to be clear, you're still sending whatever required forms through the office through Dotloop, but the relationship between that tenant and that landlord just became between them. And the landlord still uses their listing agent to send forms back and forth. Do some of you intervene? Sure, I do not. Once they are approved, I let them know this will get a little different. You're already approved. Now they're going to send a contract to you directly. If you'd like me to see it, I definitely can. If there's something that you want to know if this normal or not, 100%. But for you to move into this property, this is probably what they're going to be asking you to do. Your options are to say you don't want to do this, to walk away, or to see if they'll change it. But for the most part, I get out of the way for them to sign that document. The question was about DocuSign versus Dotloop. Other agents use whatever they use. We cannot stop them, nor do we want to. I'm going to continue to use between my client and I, Dotloop. But those forms sit between them directly. That's up to them, 100%. Anyone don't have Dotloop in here? Anyone does not have Dotloop as one of your apps? I need to know it. You need to know it. We need to know it. All good? All right, we're going back to regular command. The only way I know how to do it is to hit it, y'all. Is to put agent.kw.com again. One more checkpoint. One more checkpoint. Under your name, under the name, I want you to hit settings. Settings. Is .loop under there for you? Is .loop under there for you? Keep scrolling down, because if it was under my apps, it has to be here. That's why we went there first. And I'm sorry, once I go forward, I cannot necessarily go backwards. So you do need to speak up if you do not have something.
Hey, Belle, hey, Belle, it's Felita. I don't see .loop when I click on my name. I don't see, was I supposed to go to settings first?
Yeah, we went to settings.
Okay, I do have it then under settings.
Of course, yeah. You're clicking your name and then you're clicking settings, right? Everybody else here, do you see .loop in that list? It can be lower, like DocuSign's in my list, it's not connected, nor do I want to connect it. Alan, do you see it now? Okay. Everyone see it?
Yes.
Do you see .loop on yours is the question. And does it say connected? Settings. I'm in command. If we don't have command and .loop connected, all bets are off. All the work that we do in command will not auto-populate in .loop and vice versa. So we need these things to be connected. When you click on your name there, we're scrolling down to the settings. Again, it's a watch then do. Look up, do it. Look up, do it. Try not to overthink it for a moment. It's difficult, I get that. Connected. We all got connected. Everyone online connected?
Yes.
One more time, I cannot go backwards once I go forward. And once you get behind, you're kind of behind. It kind of sucks. Alan, do you mind closing that door back there? I appreciate you greatly. All right, we're going to start with adding a contact. Add the person next to you. Add the person next to you. Ask them their name. You will share documents to someone in this class. Add the person next to you. You two talk. Hit add under contacts. Y'all see this red button? It tells you what's under there. Contacts, and we're hitting add contact. The red button right here, it tells you what these little icons mean. We're under contacts. And you're going to add a contact. What contact are you going to add? The person next to you. Jim and Dan, y'all may have to partner. They need an actual email address. And this is your real name and a real email address. Why? Because they're going to send you documents for you to quote unquote sign. How you doing? I'm okay. Those of you online, you can put each other's contact information and work together. I don't necessarily know how to walk you through that online. You're more so watching us do it. I'm going to add. Myself. And I'm going to say my email is. You need a first and last name and a real email address. This is in contacts class, so we're not going over all the extra information. We're just putting first and last name, email address, and we're going to hit create. Once we hit create, again, we cannot go back. When you take contacts connected with Brandon or the virtual offerings that he has, he goes over tags, lead source, additional information. For the purpose of just a transaction, I need a first and last name and an email address. Yes, I already put that one in on you, so it won't let me do it. No. Correct. You need that person's first, last name, and email address. How uncomfortable is that? That's how it feels when you're asking a client for theirs. Welcome to real estate. I already have a contact. It won't let me hit create. How y'all doing online? This email already exists also. It's mine. All right, we created a contact. When you hit create, did it take you here? First and last name, email address, create. First and last name, email address, create. Now imagine you add this person 1 week and y'all didn't go through an opportunity. So how do you go and find the contact later? You go to contacts and you go and search for that person's name in your big list of stuff. I got my name in here quite a few times. All the different ways that one can search oneself. I'm going to work with this one. So if I added you today, do I need to add you tomorrow again? No. You understand you would simply search for the contact that you added. Is everyone on this screen?
Yes.
Thank you. Under opportunities here, click the word opportunities and create an opportunity. What's the first box say?
Opportunity type.
Is it because there's already an email address in there? What is it saying to you? So right here, can you see my screen, Alan, up here? You hitting the words opportunities, and then it won't let you click create opportunity? Yes. Did you hit save? Well, that's why. You problem children are too far in the back. Thank you, Sufyan. The first thing you see, Market Center has a red asterisk next to it. Everything with a red asterisk must be filled. Everything else optionally filled, okay? If it has this red thing next to it, it has to be filled. An agent can be a part of more than one Market Center. You got agents who are licensed in Maryland, and they're with that KW. Agents who are licensed in Las Vegas, and they're with that KW plus this one. So you got to say which office you are. Most of you, if you're only with this one office, it'll say just one office. I'm a part of a team, so I can say this is a team lead, or is this a bail lead? I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to hit create again. A team lead is meant to stay with the team. So it can only be operated through the team. This is me doing your personal business with you for the purpose of this example. If you're not anybody on a team that we need to discuss this, great. Opportunity type, yes. Are you on a team? No. You would know if you're on a team. For the purpose of this example, we're doing a buyer. We're doing a buyer. But if it was a seller, which one would I select? If it was a landlord. If it was a tenant. I know it seems obvious to you, but you'd be surprised it's one of the most common mistakes made. We're working with a buyer. Is there a co-buyer? Some people have co-buyers. There's a husband and wife and wife, husband and husband, absolutely. It could be a spouse, it could be a mother, daughter, it does not have to be necessarily a partner. People purchase for whatever reason they purchase. I like to add those people later. That's my preference. I don't like to add them here. So my client is Belle Lawrence. My opportunity name is Belle Lawrence -buyer. What's your opportunity name, Alan? What's your opportunity name? Nice. What about you, Lilia? What's your opportunity name? Why is it not an address? Because when you're working with a buyer, you don't typically have a house yet. So if we were doing a listing, what would that say? It would be the address. That's my point to you. When I say seller, I'm typing address over that name that it automatically gives. And I want to encourage you to do the same. If it's a landlord, you have an address, start with it. With buyers and tenants, they typically need us to help them find an address. So you can't start with that. Fair? Makes sense? All right. We will not put an estimated close date. Please say that out loud. We will not put an estimated close date. Why? Because it goes in my system as you're under contract, you got a deal closing and you don't. And it reports to my coach, their coach, and their coach. And do you know who their coach is? Gary Keller. So let's not be processing any false information if that's okay with everybody. Cool? Time frame. Ask your customer that you're attempting to convert into a client. At this point, Belle, I'm in talks with someone. They want to buy. They're looking about 6 months out. They're looking about 12 months out. They're looking about 3 months out. This is for you to have that dialogue with your customer. You're going to say, Belle, I don't know. I didn't ask that. I trust that you won't do that anymore. Fair? Ask them the questions. What's their budget? They're not pre-approved yet. What's their budget? Ask. They have some idea of what they'd like to spend. Please ask these questions. We're going to put 300,000 for the purpose of this example. Again, those things don't have a red asterisk next to it. This does. Commission rate. What is the traditional but negotiable commission rate? 3%, 6, 7, 4. We're going to go with 3 for the purpose of this example. Could it be 2.5? Absolutely. Could it be 4.5? Absolutely. Could it be 4% with a $10,000 BTSA? Absolutely. It's negotiable.
If you were working seller, would you encourage them to put that commission for both ends of the transaction?
If I was working with the seller, I would let them know that I charge 6%. Once August 17th come, I would let them know that I charge 4%. It's in their best interest to put something on the line for that buyer's agent. I'm going to be adding to my commission now, not reducing it. They talked about it this morning. I said it was going to be negotiable. I said my fee as a seller's agent is going to go from 6% to 4%. My fee.
So hypothetically, if your seller wants to pay you, they're going to pay you your 4, and they also want to say pay 3 to the other agent, maybe put 7 in that box.
In this box, I'll put what I'm making only.
Just yours.
In the contract, I'm gonna put 7%. In the agreement, I'm gonna put 6%. Some listing agents charge 8%. It is negotiable. It truly is. I'm asking for 4%. I'm gonna paint the exterior doors and trims of your house. I'm gonna maintain the yard throughout the listing. I'm gonna do some extra things. Why I need the extra 1%? That's my value that I can articulate, and I don't need any help doing so. Yes. Traditionally, it's 6% right now until that August date. So we're putting 3%. That's why that's traditional here. As a buyer's agent. If we were doing a listing, this would say 4. I'm gonna ask for 8 at the appointment, 4 of which will go to me. It is negotiable. I do want to confuse you. It is confusing. You got to learn your value. What does it cost you to do what you do? Mitch used to ask us that all the time. He used to hate it. Add up how much your expenses are. And when I did the math, I was like, oh, I don't have any money to give back. What am I doing giving discounts? I don't have any money to give back. I had to pay for gas, signs, Supra, car, office fees. It's unreal. If I give them my percentage, I truly make negative something. Make no mistake, capping makes you about 60 grand for the year. That is not enough money for most of us. Okay, so hear me. It is negotiable. Yes, sir. This blank is for us. It's for what you and your broker are making. Excellent question. Opportunity phase, active, always active. Opportunity phase, active, always active. Stage, I don't care. Opportunity phase, active, always active. Let's recap. We're at Houston Memorial. We're doing a buyer type. Our client's name / buyer is the name of our opportunity. We do not put in an estimated close date. We're saying she has about a 1-month time frame, 3% commission to our broker specifically, $300,000 budget. Opportunity phase is active. Hit create. Where'd it go? Mine went away. I got 2 questions going on. You, yes?
Opportunity stage.
I don't care.
If-
Opportunity phase, active. Yes. We're focusing on a buyer example for this. If you think you can handle doing landlord, while I do buyer, you're going to be doing that without my help. But if, sorry, maybe I don't understand. Oh, as one of the examples. Okay, so that's what we talked about. Listing means seller. Landlord is still a listing, but for lease. And I'm representing the landlord. Okay, I understand now. I thought you were going to try to do a landlord while I do it, and I think that's hard. But if you believe, I believe. Everyone has a opportunity here now. I just want to give some insight. My contacts health score is very low because I don't have a birthday, mailing address, home address, legal name, social profiles, more information. When you're doing your regular contacts, when you're adding contacts to Command regularly, you do want to fish for this information. You want to call your database. Hey, I got a great email for you. I got a great phone number for you, but I would love to know your birthday so I can celebrate with you this year. I'm cleaning up my database. Everyone who answers my questions, I enter them into a raffle to win a $20 gift card to my favorite restaurant. Could I have 2 minutes of your time to update my database? It is your job to fill all this stuff in. Simply not for us to send a document. We only need first, last name, and an address. Is that clear? All right, hit the words of the opportunity like I'm doing here. Click the actual Bell. Mine is Bell Lawrence - buyer. Click the words. It should automatically suck you into the details portion, of that opportunity. Everybody here.
Spinning wheel.
Everybody here? We're under details. We're going to move quickly, so I do need your yeses. Okay, we're flipping the documents. We were in details. Look it up, please. From details to documents. Under the documents tab, start a transaction using .loop. If you got a drop-down menu, that means you have both DocuSign and .loop connected, so be careful. Start a transaction using .loop. Your screen should look like mine. Everyone, yes? Is that you right there as the profile that you want to use for .loop? Please click it. I'm going to get to moving pretty fast here, so y'all please look up and live as much as you can. If you had a drop-down menu, you have both DocuSign and .loop, so be careful. You're starting the transaction with .loop. I'm going to click the yes, I'm that person and continue. Which one are we doing? Which one are we doing? Buyer, that's clear to everyone, right? Which one do you know to never use? Thank you so much. Don't use that. Don't use that. That's not for you. We have no way of shielding it from you, nor do we want to, but it is miserable. It's like adding every staff member in the office and abroad to your transaction for no reason at all. Don't do it. Buyer, that's correct. And then choose .loop template. Please reattempt. Go to .loop. Let's try that again. Start, Bell Lawrence, continue, buyer, choose template. Is .loop down? Let's look at it. Please don't ask me for a code. Oh. Fraudulence. If you haven't logged on a .loop on the current computer that you're on, it's going to prompt you to do so. So please do so. I'm going to try this one more time. Because mine did not go. Start a transaction. Well, let's hit refresh first. Start a transaction. Yes, I'm Bell. Continue. Buyer. Yes. Yay, it worked. So it no longer says start a transaction. Now it says go to transaction. Before you go, do you see what this sentence says in the middle of your screen? To start work with opportunity, please select checklist type first. So y'all see the tabs across the top of your screen? Go back to command. If you have a bunch of commands open, it's going to be confusing. To start work with opportunity, please select checklist type first. If you hit go to transaction, opened up your loop, and that's great for you, but we don't want that just yet. I don't want you to hit the back button because there is no back button. You're going back to command at the top of your screen. Pick checklist type, residential. Is everyone back to command? Let's get that far. Yes? But not just any command, the one we were on. Which one are you on? Can't move. We're picking residential as the checklist type. If I do it before they do it, I can't go back and do it. So you need to go back to your opportunity. You need help getting back there?
It's just so slow.
Yeah, something's going on. No, we're not at go to transaction. We're picking a checklist type. Have you already done that? When you click residential, placeholders will begin to populate. This is again, that Scantron that we're going to fill in later. Every document that we fill out in Dotloop is going to come back and speak here. I guess tight. Let's go. What you got going on?
It's loading.
You hit refresh already?
Yeah.
It's mad at you. It's mad at all of us. Let's see. It just needed me to touch it. Okay, under the Documents tab. Pick checklist type, residential. This is where a lot of you miss it. So please look up at my screen for a moment. These are tabs across the top. These are folders. These are tabs. These are folders. We were under the Details tab. We jumped over to the Documents tab. Consultation folder. What goes in the consultation folder? Well, read it. I'm giving it to you for a reason. This folder is only for documents not requiring compliance review. Do you think your IABS requires compliance review? Yes. Your buyer rep agreement? Yes. So what goes in here? Nothing. If you're someone like me, I put a pre-approval letter in there sometimes. Why? That does not need to be reviewed by anyone. I put my buyer consultation speech that I gave. Say I printed something like that up. This is for a folder for nothing really to go there. Under contract. You see how we went from consultation to under contract. That's where all those are. I see so many people adding documents to the folder that they will never hit submit on. It won't allow you to submit it. Is that clear? These are folders. These are tabs. Consultation folder, nothing. For the most part, nothing. Under contract folder, everything that says required. Do you see that? Everything that says required. So you want to say, Bill, how do I know what's required? Add a contact, create an opportunity, start a transaction using Dotloop, and then pick checklist type. Your required forms will populate here. Questions, please let me know right now.
I do. but it's not-
If you hover over it, if you hover over the I, it says a signature is not required. It's required that the listing was entered into HAR MLS. Are all listings in MLS?
Yes.
No.
No?
Still have no loops of it.
Several properties are off market. That doesn't mean there's no agent involved. It's simply off market. You'll still be paid. You'll still go through all the same compliance. Like with your listing, if we never went into MLS, it would not be required. Because we did go into MLS, it is required. So if there's a condition for it to be required, hover over the I. That informs you of why that is. New construction. Quite often it is not an MLS. It does not have a tax record. It doesn't have an address, you know? So no, in those instances, it would not be required. If you have an executed amendment, then you need it. If you don't have one, then you don't. We're gonna go to Dotloop. We're gonna go to Dotloop for those of you who can. I like this go to transaction piece here. How many of you have ever created a loop before today? Yes, Nana
Yeah.
Lou, Dan, Felita?
I have,
Were you going directly to dot loop or were you going to command first?
I've probably done
Command
both.
first. Command
Command.
first. When I go to dot loop, and please don't look at my dot loop because I have the master account. I can see everything y'all just created. This is why I tell you, you don't have to add me to your loop. I'm already in your loop. I simply need to know the name of it. Okay. Things I see immediately. We want to capitalize the first and last names. I understand in other cultures, you don't necessarily have to. Imagine you do. Okay. We want to capitalize those first and last names. And you don't have to add another loop tomorrow if you want to go and see the loop you created. If you hit back to my loop, you should see the loop that you created. Somebody hit loops at the top of your dot loop, hit loops. It should take you to all of the loops that you've created. Do you see the one that you created for Natalia, Lilia? Okay. Command is sticking a little bit, and so is dot loop. You're just sitting there turning to him too. Really? Of course. You see? The last time all of command and all of dot loop was down, and this time it's just really slow.
Hey,
I
Belle, where
find
does
that you
it
guys, you
say
may have to
loops?
back out and log back in. All right, we're gonna keep on moving. If you have to go directly to dot loop, please do. If you're having troubles with it, I do feel for you. I don't know how to fix that. I'm gonna go back to go to transaction. Nothing. Wow. So if you go to dot loop directly, what happens? Do you see your deal? Those of you who can see stuff, please go that route. That's why you need more than one way to skin a cat, I tell you. Yeah, it's just loading, loading, loading. But if you go directly to dot loop and log in, you should see what you created there. I did. Bianca, did you go directly to dot loop? Did you see your work there? And how far did you get?
Shows me as the buyer. Instead of-
Did you make one for yourself prior to today?
Cause it has today's date.
Really?
It's not-
Well, let's click it. So yours says your name / buyer? Weirdo. Yeah, of course. Why would he put his name? Same for you. When you click one of them, are you in the loop like this? We can still do what we're doing. I hate that it's doing that. I don't know what's going on. Joe, can you see it? Can you click yours? The one with your name on it and everything. Go into that loop. No?
Yeah.
It opened yours? And does it still say your name or did it switch to hers? Okay. So first things first, when you get into a loop, I want you to go to view details. Y'all see where view details is? It's right underneath the name. You can update the name. So where it should have said Natalia, please make it say, where it should have said Lilia, please make it say so. Ah. See what we got going on. It's so rude. Refresh this page. You need to verify your email address to continue. Search your inbox.
I did that.
Hmm. Wow. Occam's razor. All things that can go wrong will. Those of you that can keep moving, under this view details, we're in a purchase. We're in pre-offer. Do you see 3 parties in your loop? One more time. Back to loop. Let's see. I'm here. I clicked view details right underneath the name. Did it take you to this screen? Awesome. Do you see at least 3 people in your loop? Who's the first person you see? You. Do you have a role?
No.
It says none. Give yourself a role. If you're representing a buyer, you are the buying agent. Who's the second person in your loop? Who's the third? Admin. Give them a role. They are the buying broker. At a minimum, 3 people should be in the loop. The buyer, the broker, the agent. If it were a listing, I would have a seller, a listing agent, and a listing broker. If it were a tenant, I'd have a tenant agent, and I like to call it a managing broker. If it were a landlord for lease, a landlord, listing agent, listing broker, you're still listening. But please make those things make sense. I see it so many times with, how do I want to say it? Buyers interchangeable for tenants. And while that does happen, please give yourself the correct role. All right, homework. Listen to this. When you find a house, you're going to go in here and sync an address. When you find a house, if you sync an address, you cannot unsync it. So if I'm writing offers and I'm not getting those offers accepted, I got to create a new loop every time. That means a new command every time. That means life sucks. Don't do that. Do not link it until your offer is accepted by the seller. I'm gonna go a step further, and you make it through the option period. Anybody got an active listing right now? I'm going to show you what I mean. 14550. Please look at me and nobody else. Fawn Meadow. It's difficult to do a condo because there's so many with that address. And I have to put the DR. I'm going to stick with this system. 1300. Do you see this MLS? If I link that and she doesn't accept my offer, I'm stuck. Don't do that. Don't link it with MLS until your offer is accepted. And even after you make it until option period. Why? Because we can fall out of contract. Now I want to write an offer for a new house, but I'm linked to that one. Every document is auto-populating on there. I got to go to every form one at a time. Don't do that. You link it once they've accepted your offer at a minimum. If they've accepted my offer and I made it through the option period, that's when I link it. Other than that, I'm just going to drop down to this Google Maps version. Stay looking at me, please. This is MLS. This is simply the Google Maps version of that. Me clicking in Google Maps, it puts all that stuff on there for me anyway. But if I link it, I am stuck. And this loop goes with that opportunity, which goes with my paycheck. Y'all with me?
Yes.
Correct. Now, let's say she accepted my offer. She accepted my offer. This is an example. I need y'all to keep looking up here just for one more second. Uh-oh, I put something wrong there. Drive. 1300. I'm going to link it to this MLS. She's accepted my offer. You have to put in your credentials. What's your MLS ID? What is your MLS ID? No. No, that's your nerds. That's your license number. It's an ID. It's not a number at all. It's what you sign into HAR with. It's your MLS user ID. I'm gonna tell you, experienced agents, we do this all the time. We ask y'all for your public ID, your HAR ID, your MLS ID. It's all the same word, and that's how I know you're new. So know your MLS ID, your HAR ID, your user ID, your public ID, all the same thing. Mine is capital BELLE, capital L. Whatever your username is for HAR. Do you want to import data? You will be linked to this listing. I do. And look at that. Did I add Lilia to my loop? It added Lilia to my loop as the listing agent because I just linked her into this deal. Because she's in my office, it created a loop for her too. What'd y'all learn about linking listings? Don't do it. Thank you. You just using Google Maps. All right, let's hit save. Check me out. I want to use the property address. I didn't type a property address. I simply clicked use property address. I want to add another person. Look up and live. I'm clicking add person. I'm adding James Lawrence. He's also a buyer. He needs an email address, his very own. He cannot share it with his. He needs his own email address, okay? And you'll run into people who don't have an email address. My answer to that is get one. Okay? I can add another person. There's 3 buyers. Deborah Lawrence. You can add as many as you need to. Another buyer. I don't have an email address from her yet. I'm gonna have to call her and ask her for it later. I didn't need y'all to do any of that stuff. I needed you to watch me do it. I hope you got something from that. We're hitting save and back to loop. I don't ever want you to hit this big back button up here. When you want to go back to loop, click the words back to loop. While this class does not go over what goes in what blank, I do want you to understand that because we authorized and assigned roles, when I click information about brokerage services, not the box next to it, the actual form, do you see how it prompts me to autofill? If your number isn't in there, add it. If it's incorrect, fix it. Blah, blah, blah. Questions? Because you were trying to do it. You just needed to look at me do it. It's okay. Uh-huh. You have a pop-up blocker of some kind. You may have to go to .loop directly or fix the pop-up blocker on it. So we were here for my people who got lost. We were in view details. We're here at back to loop. We were at, you will not get everything in this one class. You will need to take this again. Everybody, that's clear, right? Bianca, how many times have you taken now? What about you, Shayla? Mhm. Right? Yeah.
And then my 3rd transaction.
And you're on your 3rd transaction. Excellent.
So I'm doing that, but
Well, for me, it's very easy. I get that. And also it took me well, no, it didn't take me 8 years. It took me about 7 months to master .loop. But I made 27 sample contracts. Okay, we want to get to information about brokerage services. It's paramount that we do this part. Wherever you are, stop where you are and get to where I am now. You're clicking the words, information about brokerage services. It should prompt you to autofill. If it doesn't, click the words autofill. I got buyer 1 and buyer 2. I was just making up more buyers to show you that you could. Everybody this far, one more time. Look up at my screen. I'm clicking the words, not the box. The words, information about brokerage services. Yes? How we doing, Alan? You good too? Okay, did it prompt you to autofill? Please do that. If the phone number is missing, add it. If your license number is missing, add it. If you don't know your license number, put mine for now. Because we have to keep going. Put a bunch of zeros if that'll help you fix it. And click autofill. Please click autofill. At the bottom, do you see any makeshift initials? That's not initial. That's showing you where they will initial. Do y'all see that? What do you see?
Yeah,
You see BF now? Not your name?
yeah, I was able to change.
Excellent. Excellent. What about you, Natalia? What do you see? It's fixed? It was just craziness? Weird. We're going to share a document. Hit share. Hit share. It may tell you save and share. I already hit save. Uh-huh. I hit save. I'm from the 80s. I hit save every 5 seconds. Save, you know? So share. Everybody to this screen. I need you to look up. I need you to look up. I used to type long written out messages here, and guess what? Nobody read them. So you may think you gave your client excellent instructions here. My advice is that you text, email, or call them with those instructions. Right. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence, please sign the documents. It was great to meet with you. They never read it. I'm going to unclick myself because I am. I used to attach PDF. To people who are not in Keller Williams, I would attach PDF. I stopped doing it to my clients, and I'm gonna tell you why, Shayla. I believe it was you and somebody else. The client was not understanding which one to initial. They were opening the PDF, trying to initial the PDF. And it took me like a month to figure out that that's what they were doing. So I can attach a PDF and they don't have to make an account and digitally sign. That's to someone that is not my client, that's a listing agent. I'm just sharing documents with them for my buyer. But for your client, I'm going to say do not hit attach PDF. Some of your clients will sit there and be trying to sign the PDF. Yep. Let's hit share. No, they were literally trying to sign the PDF. I know it did. You're the other person. It took me a month to go, what? Mm-hmm. So did you hit share? I want you to now hit this red arrow and back out of the form. You got to look up if y'all want to see it, this red arrow right here, and back out of the form. What do you see now on your screen? Okay. The person next to you, go to your phone and sign the document. You should have got an email that said blah, 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 shared to you. That's why you needed that person's email address. As quickly as you can, hit sign, adopt signatures. I want you to see what it feels like for the customer. That's what they're going through, trying to figure out your instructions. They're confused also. So the moral to this lesson is practice on yourself. Practice with your peers. My stepmom got 17 sample contracts because I didn't send them to her and told her to sign them. It made her understand what's going on. Now, what does your screen say?
No, it's
Yeah, not yet. Let's get out of that. You can hit refresh if you need to. Does it still say waiting on others? If they signed it, they got to back out of it. You got to back out of it once you sign. You can see her signature. Great. What about you? You go to whatever email you sent it to him. That's why I said on your phone. I'm sorry, what?
I sent it to KW email.
You sent it to his KW email? Y'all were switching information for him to email to you and you to email to him. What email did you give him? Yes, I don't know. There's no delete. There's archive though. Yes, you can archive it. You do need to know the email that you sent it to. I can't help you with that. You do need to know how to check your email. Does it still say waiting on others? It says sign. Now, while this class does not go over what goes in each blank, the same for under the residential buyer tenant, I want you to practice that one on your own time. I want you to practice the KW memorial disclosures on your own time. Read them, practice filling them out. It's paramount that you do these things regularly and you have a sample loop with a partner here. Shoot them a message. Hey, I'm about to send you some sample stuff. This is your new buddy. Every training that we do, you should exchange phone numbers with somebody. Everything that you learn will not come from me. There is no way that I'm an end all, catch all, wait all for 150 plus people. Not going to happen. Okay. All right, look at the top of your screens. Top of your screens. We're going back to command. We were just in dot loop. We went back to command. Some of you may have two commands open. Find the one that's open to the opportunity that we're working on. One more time, we were in dot loop. At the top of our screen, we jumped back over to command. What did I say dot loop was? Notepad, scratch paper. And what's command? Your Scantron. It's what you turn in. How do we turn it in, Bill? Look at my screen, not yours. Look at me do it. Watch, then do. I promise you, it'll help you. Information about brokerage services. Did we get that signed? All right, I'm gonna hit select, match, and it puts it in my loop. If you looked away, you missed it. One more time. Information about brokerage services. Yours should say select. Click it. And it'll be in your loop as well. Once I do it, I can't go back. So it's paramount that you looked. It's hard to do that. I get it. Y'all want to do it too.
Still know how to get to that.
To what screen? To command. It shouldn't have closed. The same opportunity that we had should be open. I like that y'all are going through this. This is what your customer feels in their client experience with you until you get better at this. And I won't be there to unstick you. So I want you to work on some ways that you can get unstuck. 10. Oh, the license number 9,000 and then 862. So here, you're going back to opportunities.
Yeah.
All opportunities. And yours is blocking you from doing so. But if you keep it open, what's happening there? For those of you like me, I'm just clicking here and then I'm clicking here. I'm not closing anything. That's intentional. So it'll still be open when I go back to it. Let's say I got my buyer tenant rep agreement done. Let's say we filled it out. She signed it. Then I have to go and sign it. You got to remember that part. Residential buyer and tenant rep agreements. It will autofill as well. I don't want you to do this. I want you to watch this. It will autofill as well. There's still things that need to be filled in. All the heavy lifting is not done. Let's be clear. But imagine your client already signed it. I need y'all to have a bit of imagination here. I'm gonna have to sign this myself. When you click yours, what does it say? Open your buyer tenant rep agreement. You actually click the words. For those of you who can. Were any of you able to open this? Did it prompt you to autofill? It should be taking you here. For clarity, don't click the box in front of it. Actually click the words, residential buyer tenant rep agreement. It fills out quite a bit once you hit autofill. But not all of it. There's more to be filled. I get that. For the purpose of this class, I want you to pretend that it's completely filled in once you hit autofill. If it doesn't, hit autofill directly yourself. Sometimes you may have already opened it and backed out of it. I want you to practice signing the bottom initial of every page where it says buying agent. Imagine you already sent it. We already went through the process of sharing something before. That's fine. Now imagine your client signed it. I need you to sign it. Where do you sign? As the buyer agent. Yes.
You have to go, like, the contracts are 17 pages. They have to do the, not, not the signature, this. the
Initial?
Do I have to put the box for the couple in every page? Because I have been doing like that. Every page I put this space for initials and then I assign it to each one.
I haven't seen a 17-page contract, to be clear. You're talking about the lease agreement. Okay. Whatever is at the bottom already, you're not adding this. This is already here. You're simply assigning that role to someone. You have to, if you hit autofill, it should assign it. Look at mine. I didn't go to every page. You got to do the autofill. It puts it at the bottom of every single page. It also puts it at the top of every single page of all of the buyers. Take a look at that. At the top of your page, it says this agreement is between, it names the parties and Keller Williams Memorial. You had a question, Anna? Oh, you were stretching.
So
Autofill does a lot of heavy lifting. There's still work for you to do. Yes. Where would you find that information? Excellent. Excellent. One day you'll have an assistant to tell you that. Today's just not that day. Again, market area, you still need to fill that in. Days that we start, you still need to fill that in. Intermediary, no. So we're going to pretend this form is fully filled out. I want you to sign it. Bill, I sent it to my client. They signed it. You sign it. You sign it. Where do you sign? Is it prompting you to initial here? Does it say for you to initial here, sign here? Please do so. I'm going to sign mine. It says I can adopt some signatures, and I'm going to do that. At the bottom of every page, you want to initial the bottom of every single page. This is the biggest thing we do. Buyers and sellers, they sign, and then we upload it to Command, but we forget to sign. So then we think, let me sign it first. Don't do that either. Because you may get a client like me. I'll change your documents with your signature on it. Yep, because you shouldn't have done that. Oh, you close that up. You close that up. Don't you do that. I'll never forget Ashoka Lion. He mad today because he put on my rent back when I was renting 1900 and my rent was 1750 and he signed everything and I corrected it back to 1750 and then I signed everything. And then I paid 1750 that next month and he went, your lease says 1900. I said, show me. He pulled it up and went, how'd you do that? And I told him, I'll see you next month. Why? Because that's what he deserves. Don't sign those documents first. I mean that. All right, back out of it. Always hit the back button here. Always hit this back button here. Those of you online that have to go, I truly understand. If you can stay, keep on staying. Oh, TJ. I like him so much. Back to command. Look how I'm doing it. I'm not closing anything. I'm going back to command. Imagine I have a signed buyer representation agreement. Is it required? Do I have to give it to Mitch? It's required? Yes. Hit select, find the form you're looking for, and it'll automatically pull it in there. If you don't keep these things connected, you work so hard. You ever downloaded 20 forms and then uploaded 20 forms one at a time? It's horrible. On here it says buyer representation agreement. On ours, it says residential buyer / tenant representation agreement. But on both of them, it says TXR 1501. Let's look at the IABS. You see this? Now it's no longer a placeholder. There's an actual form there. Click it. Let's see what yours looks like. See what yours looks like. Is it signed? Yours is, because you hit refresh. I wanted you to see that on Dotloop, when it looks like this does not show to anyone but you. Some people think, oh, it's already initial. No, this is how it actually looks. That's a indicator saying Bill Lawrence will sign here, James Lawrence will sign here. How many buyers did I say I had at the beginning? 3. How many initial blanks do I have? 2. Add initials. If you look down, you missed it. Stay with me. Add initials. I got 3 buyers. I got 5 tenants, all roommates. I'm going to assign this one to Deborah Lawrence. If I had to add another signature blank, I can do that as well. Add signature, add text, add date, you name it. You never have to put a date on this. Not ever. Why? Because when you initial, it timestamps and dates the blank. So you do not have to put in a date on that. I could add another set of initials. And I can assign it to the role. Maybe I don't know all the names. I know there are other people though. I can assign it to buyer. So now we got daughter-in-law, father-in-law, mother-in-law. We need the son. We'd have to add Terrence here. Again, save and hit the back button. This is the last part of Dotloop 101 that I'm sharing with you. 101. I want you to understand that you cannot learn while you do this. You have to simply do it. And your body's going to go, that was weird. And then you're going to go do it by yourself. You're going to learn what you missed. And then you're going to ask me questions about it. It is not something that you get to learn and then do. You have to do it, then look back at it and learn where you could have done it better. 1, 2, please look at me. Don't do what I'm doing. Y'all gotta get enough of it. I promise you. Look at me. Don't do what I'm doing. 1, 2, 3, share. I don't share them one at a time. That's like going through the checkout counter with the milk, then come back with the eggs, then come back with the, I probably wouldn't do that. I would do them all at once. But there are some times where I only needed eggs that day. I only need to send them my IABS, which we did. But typically I'm sharing several forms at once. And I'm hitting share on several forms at once. And then done. And it has me waiting on all 3. So you can share 1 at a time, 10 at a time. I can hit download on all of that and then attach it to an email. And it'll just line them all up in person and PDFs like that. This is just Dotloop 101. I need you to get a grasp of this so we can get into all of the other nuances of this. Your homework is in Dotloop to fill out a buyer rep agreement and share it to your person and then sign it. You'll see that when you start filling it out, like I'm taking Deborah off. Whoa, what happened? Because it's already signed. I just signed it. I'm okay with that. I'll sign again. Yes, I'm sure. If you have a executed form, you will not blow up signatures. What does executed means? Both parties signed. I want you to treat a fully executed form like it's etched in stone. You do not have the right to go and change it. You would do an amendment to that form. It's a separate document. In a court of law, they would read the first document and the amendment amending paragraph 6. Okay, you do not change it. Like right now, your listing is affected and it's in MLS. If you blow up those signatures, we now have an illegal listing. You get it signed again, yeah, but it went active at this time and you didn't have an agreement until this time. That was an illegal listing. Mitch is a timestamp, date watching, you name it, person. I'm so glad he's on our side. But don't do that. Don't change any signatures, especially without talking to me first, especially without downloading them first. You see, I hit download before I change those signatures. So if I did actually have to have it, it is still on something that I've flattened, that I PDF'd. That's intentional. What's your homework? Fill out the buyer tenant representation agreement and share it to your client, that person in this room that you set this up with. If you're not invited, I'm sorry, you got to share it. Or you're not buying? We're gonna put sample at the top of all of them. Check me out, everyone. You need access to this form. You need access to this file for you to be able to fill out the buyer rep agreement. Again, Dotloop is where we write. It's our contract workspace. I call it your scratch paper. Command is what you turn in at the end. If there was ever a cheat sheet of how to do this, I've already filled out forms that you can look at side by side with the blank one. But you have to have access to this. Mine, when I was new, looked something like this. I pull them up side by side. You see? I'm making the one side look like the left. When I say market area, I put a subdivision, a zip code, surrounding areas in a county. I'm looking for you to do the same thing here. Start date, I put about 6 months, the same thing here. Intermediary, click intermediary. Cheat sheet on the left, open book on the left, test on the right. My left. Your left, your left. Your broker's license, all of this information. This is exactly how I would fill it out. Bianca's filled out several using this particular method. Make no mistake, things are going to change come whenever they say it is. I remember the day being August 17th, but some things are going to stay the same. So don't freak out.
Instead of saying Paris,
A document that does not have a county on it is not effective. Where do documents go once they're signed? They're recorded in a county that they were filed in. So if you don't have a county on your forms, you don't have an executed contract. If you have a misspelled county, these are reasons for judges to throw forms out. Mitch is teaching every Thursday what goes in what blank, going over the contract, what questions to ask someone, what's buyer compliance, what are the buyer agency compliance, what's the 1-to-4 contract. This is not where you learn the contract. I'm talking to you about systems. Everyone here needs to know how to add a contact to command, create an opportunity, start a transaction, and then share those forms that they filled out. Once those forms are actually filled out, know how to access their loops, access their opportunities, load the saved forms to command, And ultimately, we're gonna have to hit submit to Market Center. So please, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, 10:30 to 11:30, contract conversations. That's everything from how do I send this? How do I convert a lead? I want to talk to sellers. What do title companies do? Whatever question or demonstration you may need, you do want to find yourself in that training. And throughout the day, I can sporadically correct or check contracts. But if you're sending me a contract to review right now, I'm in class.
Is that just come and go?
That's just come and go. That's just come and go. If you don't use this within 24 hours, you will lose this. This is building block number 1. It was contract hour before, and it used to be at 3 p.m. It's now at 10:30 a.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. If you got a listing, you're working with a buyer, you're working with a tenant, you're trying to get a landlord, you're looking for lead gen, you need to be in that particular session. You got questions about stuff, that's the one. In the mornings, we are not on every morning anymore. For those of you who've been with us a while, we used to have daily morning coaching. That does not exist. We have Monday and Friday coffee talks.
What time of?
I will tell you just because I'm giving this information, but it's at 8:30. The best place to find it is on your calendar. It is 8:30 to 9, Monday and Friday, not Monday through Friday, Monday and Friday.
That's the one.
Yes. Yes. Lilia, do you see how much work we did without even teaching you the class? Yeah, I just want you to see. There's quite a bit that goes into this. So please practice, practice, practice. And yes, you can email me, Coach Bell, CoachBel at kw.com. Can you review this? It is for practice. Any questions? Any at all?
The background criteria.
Mhm.
It's sometimes it's written, oh, go to attachment, and then you go there, it's nothing inside.
What's the question?
And then I asked the other agent. She didn't send, I know there is a form from KW, like not received, I have to use that.
Correct.
I don't want to use that again.
You don't have a choice. Real estate is not what we want. It's what happens. You're just following what happens. If they don't give it to you,
I asked the other.
but you can't control that. You could ask one agent and they don't give it.
Another thing she didn't send me was the float, the disclosure. I just asked her to send.
Yes. I want to say this to everyone. How much do you think people make on a listing? On a listing, what's the average commission? Right, what's the average sale price? Let's say it's 350,000. It's 10,500. Anybody will answer a question at 6 p.m. for $10,500? Yeah, pretty regularly, pretty quickly. What's the commission for a lease? Of 1 month rent. So what's the average rent? $1,500 average rent. So that's $750 that they got to then play splits on. So hear me, I've heard it all. Lease listing agents are not answering all of your questions. They're not. If you have to send them the flood disclosure and tell them to fill it out, then do that. It's not easy. That lease listing agent, for them, this is about a $300 conversation versus there are many other $10,500 conversations. They are not bad agents. Leases are low-hanging fruit. That is the reality. I'm not coming for anybody. I'm just telling you the whole truth. I had 17 lease listings at one time. I answered you when I answered you. You know, I got it to you when I got it to you. Yeah. It's not going to be easy. That's why the best thing you could do is get into the buyers and sellers as quickly as possible. Some of them don't answer. Nothing you can control. Your job is to simply show and document that you asked for it. Her question is about the tenant selection criteria. In Texas, per the Texas Property Code, a tenant has the right to know what are your approval requirements and what do you deny people for before they pay a $60 transaction fee. They're giving you this processing fee, and you already put on a form that if you don't have a 600 credit score, we're not approving you. Well, if I have a 580, I'll keep my $60 and go on somewhere. I have a right to know that. So our office requires that you ask for it. The lease listing agent does not have to offer it or give it, but you have to ask for it. If you ask for it and they give it to you, great, use it. If you ask for it and they don't, there's a document called asked and it was not provided. You now need that form. So please go to tenants, go to leases with Mitch. If your client says, I have 5 grown adults and they wanted $100 per application fee. So my 3 grown kids and me and my spouse, we just paid $500 to get denied for a property that you could have told us we were not eligible for. Somebody gonna have to give them their money back per Texas property code. The lease listed agent can have one, but if you didn't ask for it, they don't have to give it to you. You ask for it and they have it, they give it to you. They don't have it, you ask your client. You still want to move forward because you're going to pay $500 for these 5 grown people in your property, and I can't tell you what their requirements are because they're not giving it to me. The form verbatim says, do you still want to move forward? They sign off saying yes. Per Texas Property Code, we've done our job.
That situation, she didn't ask for these background checks. She just asked for a letter from the company. They're being transferred.
Those are Mitch class questions, but the answer to your question is, what do you do if they don't give it to you? It's that you can't, I don't want you to hope that I don't want you to put any feelings involved if they do or they don't. Just document it accordingly because you can't control that. The difference between billionaires and millionaires is billionaires focus on what they can control, not what they cannot. I can't make everyone else better agents outside of the office. So I'm gonna focus on y'all. Okay? You ask, that's your job. And then you relay that information to your client, whichever way it comes. Everybody head hurts? A little bit. Hopefully we get a better CommandDotloop work on the next one. We will be doing this class again next month. If I'm not mistaken, they're working on loading a recording to the YouTube of the last 1 or 2 or 10 or 50 that I've taught for sure. Come in a contract with your questions now, where it's few of us and I'm sitting with you, we can go over those loops and those detailed little questions that you want to go over. And of course, set a one-on-one appointment with your coach to go over those things as well. But this is your way forward. Welcome to real estate. While everyone wants to make things easier for you, I do not. I do not. I want to make things adequate for you to be great. Making things easy for you will make you great. All right, there's trained and untrained. Let's stay trained. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, people online. I appreciate you so much. We're aware that it's not the same experience in person as often as you can be in person. Great. And I appreciate your feedback of letting us know you couldn't hear us, so we can try to make it as good as we can for you online. Thank you.